So, it's December, and that means I had to try and come up with something vaguely winter, holiday, Christmas related. Unfortunately, I don't have anything that works like last year, so I thought to myself, what do I have in my backlog that has a lot of snow in it? I know, that one Russian game set in a post-nuclear Moscow where humanity lives underground and is being besieged on all sides by horrific monsters as well as metaphorical monsters. That sounds perfect. And so, here we are. After a little marathon playthrough, I am thoroughly spooked and ready to talk all about it. So, let's get into it. This is Metro 2033.
Давай, прыгай, я тебя поймаю! Да что ж мне так не прет-то, а? Придется тебе обойти это, Артем. Ты не вступай в лужи, они радиоактивные, облучишься в 2 секунды. Вон там, видишь здание с воротами? У него во дворе вход в шахту, тебе туда. Я тебя буду ждать в здании, там есть укреппозиция ордена. И не тормози. И главное, Артем, главное, не ешь желтый снег.
To preface this, I'm using the Redux version of the game, the remaster that gives the graphics a little HD overhaul. For the most part it works, though it's pretty clear that some things age better than others. The environments look great, the Redux textures and lighting make it look all the more ominous and moody, though sometimes maybe a bit too moody as I found myself getting occasionally lost amidst the near total darkness and the fact that all these corridors look the same. Yeah, if you're here for variety in your locations, sorry to say you ain't getting that. It's either the dark and gloomy tunnels or the frozen and gloomy surface with the rare change in scenery, usually in the form of a flashback or something. As far as sound design goes, the music and ambient sounds are pretty good at keeping me tense, though it probably didn't help that I mostly played this game in the dark anyway. But the sound effects can be odd. After playing so many games, I've found that a lot of the sound effects used here were either poorly recorded or just straight up free stock sound effects. Two examples are the AK firing sound and the melee attack sound. The AK just sounds way too weak. I know I put a silencer on it, but silencers aren't this effective. It just sounds way too quiet and weak to be coming from an AK of all things. And the melee is very clearly a stock punching sound effect, and it plays regardless of the surface you do or don't hit. One notable aspect of the sound, however, is the voice acting. Now, I chose to go with Russian voice acting. The English might be fine, but I prefer the Russian voices, giving the game a more authentic feel. It just doesn't feel right in English, and honestly, it's probably for the best that I read the subtitles so as to avoid just staring at the character faces since they're, not the best. But the actual voices are great. It's also how I found out that no matter how you speak, you can't sound nice and soft in Russian. You only sound weak. Now, with that out of the way, let's move on to the plot.
Храм надежды. Даже в нынешние времена мы не можем избавиться от вещей, которые делают нас людьми. Вот и все. Забирайся. Помни, все зависит от тебя и только от тебя. До встречи, Артем. И удачи тебе.
Story is where we start getting into the real meat of this game, unlike most games I cover here. Now, I know the Metro games are adaptations of the Metro novels, the books are even referenced a few times in the game itself, but this will not be me comparing the book to the game for a few reasons. One, I think that a game needs to fundamentally change a few things when adapting a book so as to maintain the feeling of actually playing the game, such as the agency. But also, two, I don't really care and I haven't read the books yet anyway, though I am planning on getting them at some point. Now then, the story follows Artyom, a young Russian man roughly 20 years old who is an infant when the nukes dropped on Moscow in 2013. Now a man in 2033, Artyom sought to do his part for the Metro to keep it safe from the Dark Ones and the mutants that threaten the Metro communities. But this goal gets much grander when Artyom is caught up in the greater mission of destroying a Dark One nest to stop them from threatening the Metro's entire existence. Initially, he was just a messenger, trying to ask for help from the nearby city of Polis in the Metro, but after his pleas are rejected, he ends up having to take action into his own hands alongside a few allies in the form of the Spartan Rangers. It's a pretty decent story, with the main draw being the mystery surrounding the Dark Ones, these humanoid mutants with psychic powers that drive people insane. As Artyom seeks to accomplish his goal, it's revealed there might be more to the Dark Ones than just monsters out to kill humanity, and this is where I point out that I completely forgot this game had a morality system pretty much right up until the end of the game, and I had gathered almost no moral points whatsoever. This means I didn't get the super secret ending that reveals more about the Dark Ones and all that, but apparently the ending I did get is the canon one anyway, so oh well. And the game uses this one guy named Khan to try and remind you about the system, but it's all so vague that you can really only guess what does and doesn't give you moral points if you even remember that it's there. Speaking of, let's get into the gameplay.
Господи, бедный Сережа, спасибо вам. Спасибо, вы моего сыночка спасли. Вам нечем отплатить. Возьмите хоть патроны.
Metro is a survival horror game through and through, and I mean that in the best sense possible. Most games that attach survival horror to their genre nowadays usually just slap a bunch of hunger, thirst, whatever bars to force you to stop what you're doing and fill them back up or else you die. But Metro is different. Metro is survival in the sense that your resources are actually scarce. You only have so much ammo, med packs, and mask filters at any given time, so you need to learn to use them carefully, especially since your most powerful ammo type doubles as currency used to customize your weapons. And it's a horror game in the unsettling kind of way. The game doesn't do too much in the way of jump scares, rather the game uses its monsters to screw with you before attacking you. Like, sure, you can kill every monster enemy you see, but it would be a massive waste of ammo when you can sneak around them sometimes and save your ammo for when there's an actual firefight you can't avoid. Unfortunately for me, I suck at stealth, so a lot of my attempts at stealth devolved into firefights anyway, which probably didn't help the moral points thing. And that's pretty much all of the gameplay aside from the occasional turret section or flipping out your bullet lighter or whatever. My one problem with it surrounds when I have to follow or hang around other characters, because they are so slow. Seriously, the only reason me following Bourbon and Khan took so long is because they were so slow. Even when they're jogging, it took forever. It probably took up like an hour and a half of my gameplay time. Beyond that, the gameplay usually plays to its genre's strengths, keeping you capable enough to fend for yourself, but weak enough that you still feel threatened the whole way through, unlike other horror games which just make you helpless. There is one exception, however. The librarians. These things are infuriating and had me frozen for a good while just trying to get by them. Eventually I just devolved into taking out my compass and sprinting to where the arrow pointed me. According to an achievement on Steam, you can kill them, but I am not going to bother with that. I'd rather just run for my life.
Добро пожаловать в Полис, капитан Краснов. Вы к нам издалека, да, молодой человек? Откуда именно?
Он с ВДНХ.
Что же он сам говорить не может?
Слушай, капитан, парень впервые в Полисе. Тебе лучше не знать, через что он прошел, чтобы донести послание Хантера Мельнику. Так что давай без этой твоей фигни.
Ладно, переодевайся. Вот одежда. Вы можете оставить свою амуницию тут, ничего с ней не случится.
And that is Metro, the first one at least. I had a surprisingly good time playing this. I'm not usually a horror game fan, but this one managed to keep me interested and immersed in the world the whole way through. I'm definitely playing Last Light and Exodus soon. In fact, I'm currently planning on Last Light to be my next video, though I'm not sure if I'll do one for Exodus. I might want to just play that one on my own since it's a much bigger game and I'd rather take my time with that one. Regardless, this has been TheRatMan, and I will see you all later. And lastly, a special thank you shout out to my Patreon. With a $5 a month pledge is Firefox.com. Thank you for the $5.